Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
And welcome back to the Metal Hand of God podcast. I am your host, Wayne, and this beautiful gentleman who reads the news is...
Well, you really got to stop doing it. I'm the Rum Guy. It's just weird, dude. It's just weird.
Why? I think it's fun. By the way, this episode's brought to you by the coronavirus, which I have. Anyway, we have a...
Wayne's in self-quarantine right now.
Yeah, we have a very special guest, and I am going to butcher the fuck out of his name, except for his first name. I could do George McHale. Is that correct, sir?
Perfect. That's perfect.
Good. See, Rum, thank you for helping me with that.
Name. You're welcome.
Yeah.
He is bad at names. Like we'll have people on like his name could be Ben Smith, and he'll introduce him as Ben Smythe.
Yes, I'm terrible at names, man. I really am, and I don't know why. And it all, I think it all seeps down to that one time that we had a guy on our show. I don't know if you listen to metal music or anything along those lines, man. But we'll get into that later. But one of my all-time favorite musicians was on our show. I was very, quote unquote starstruck, I guess, since it was a guy I listened to since I was a little kid. And I fucked up his name like 4 times. It was terrible.
Easily 4 times, possibly even 10.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was very embarrassing.
It was. For me. I mean, for y'all, I don't give a shit about you guys.
To the point where the guy actually said, have you ever actually listened to me? Do you actually know?
It was funny. I enjoyed it.
But George, you are a comic book writer. Am I correct?
That's right, man.
And
Thank you for having me on the show, guys.
Oh, of course,
it's
dude.
Not a problem.
It's our pleasure.
I'm glad you're here. This is great because and you know a guy also, another comic book guy, as you mentioned earlier, a little bit too big for his britches. His name's Tim Lottie.
Yeah, complete asshole, by the way. Complete.
He's the worst, that guy, man.
Right? I mean, God, he talks so much crap about everybody. And nah, man, we love fucking Tim, and he's been on our show multiple times. He's done, if it wasn't for Tim, we wouldn't have like these really cool prints and things that he does for us.
He does good work.
Yeah,
but
Tim and I were next to each other at Big Easy Con, and we had a blast hanging out.
That's good, dude. That's good. Okay. How did you like New Orleans, man? Like, have you been here often, or is that like one of your first go-rounds?
No, I've been a few times. I'm out in Canada, out by Vancouver here, so kind of other side of the continent. But I love making it out to New Orleans and hitting the French Quarter and eating some beignets and going on ghost tours.
That's fucking cool, man.
Has this been a dream come true for you to do all this traveling?
Yeah, no, I've always loved traveling and being able to do conventions, and that's kind of the goal. I'm still pretty early in my career, but the goal is like one of them is to be able to travel around the world and kind of make a living selling comics and making comic books, and have that pay for your travel too. That's one of the super cool perks of being in the comic book industry. I'm not there yet. When I was in New Orleans, I was on a road trip. I drove down from Vancouver, and I was sleeping in my van. So,
damn, dude, that sucks.
Yeah, it's not like the luxury life for me yet. I'm still kind of starting out.
That's awesome, though, man.
Well, at least you weren't
sleeping. That's a lot of hustle.
At least you weren't sleeping down by the river. I'm in a van down by the river. God.
It was down by a truck stop, which was not much better.
No, that's actually scarier. There's 2 things happen at truck stops at nights. Either people die or people hook up. So hopefully you avoided all of those.
I saw the
Nothing
whole
good comes out of it.
men's room stall there, and I wasn't sure.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, that's for thumbs. That's what I hear.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it, dude.
Don't stick your thumb out. That's weird.
You'd
But
be worried more about coronavirus, that's for sure.
tell us about the writing. I know you're probably sick of telling everybody about this, but tell us about the writing. I heard a little bit of you talking about it online, but I think that for you to say it comes across a lot better than me trying to tell anybody about it.
Sure. So I make a monster book. It's called Cover Darkness. It's kind of like Game of Thrones meets Universal Monsters. It's about a family in medieval Romania, and they get separated from each other. Oh no, right? And they encounter all the classic villains: vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein, mummy, creature from the Black Lagoon. But one thing that's really fun about it is within our family, we have twin shape-shifting boys that can turn into animals. So you get werewolves fighting gorillas, yetis fighting polar bears. It's just totally bonkers.
Well, how did this inspiration come out for you? I mean, this is just something that you dreamt about just on the whim. I mean, this must have taken some time for you to come out with this, like the concept of this story.
Yeah, I've just big comic book fan all my life, and always wanted to make comics, and finally got into it and decided to go for it. And I decided to make a monster book. I love monsters too. I don't know if you guys remember Monster Squad from the 1980s.
One of my favorite movies.
I own it.
Like Wolfman's got nards, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so I always loved that like shared universe of monsters and them all kind of interacting with each other. And I just didn't feel like anybody was really doing that. So I took it upon myself, and I roped in my co-writer Chris Cam, and we started writing a book together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, dude, that's really you speak of that movie, and to me personally, there's a lot of people in the, I guess you can call them the millennial generation, that don't get that. They don't understand that film, and I'm like, you got to watch this movie. It's great. It's fantastic. And they're like, nah, this is stupid. I'm like, what the? Are you? Ugh. That's my.
But your book's coming across well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird movie, dude, because it's it's not really scary for like adults.
No.
And there's like some pretty like rough language, and it's definitely too scary for kids. So if you're kind of right in the if you like watching monsters and you're an adult, it's cool. But if you want to be scared, you really got to be kind of in that like 11, 12 kind of like pre-teen age, and then it'll scare you. It's made for like 12-year-old boys, really.
Right. But I kind of honestly think that they should remake this film. I mean, they're on this whole jump with everybody's remaking everything. So why not remake this movie with some newer kid actors or whatever, but don't give it a little more edge to it than the old one did.
It'd be cool if it was still set in the 80s, kind of like how the It movies were.
Yeah, for sure.
And Stranger Things, that sort of feel.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love that one. I watched it as 5 years old, so it scared the shit out of me.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so obviously we're older than him, Rum.
I don't know. I just watched it on repeats, dude. I don't.
You're
understand.
such a liar. Okay, Rum. Okay, here we go. Do your "I'm young" thing. Go ahead. Go for it.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's known. I'm just saying.
It's known.
Anyway,
it's
back
known
to
my
you.
ass.
The artwork that is in this book as well. I mean, your writing is amazing, and then you've been able to pair amazing writing with amazing artwork.
Yeah,
How did that all come to be with that sort of union?
Oh, well, I just reached out to the guy, to be honest with you. His name is MJ Hiblin, and he has like 220,000 followers on Instagram. So,
wow.
But he's never really worked in comics before. And he's got like a really gritty kind of gothic nature to a lot of his work. So I thought it would fit well for a monster book, and he's just been killing it. One thing that's really cool about MJ Hiblin is he does everything digitally on his iPad with his finger. So he doesn't use a stylus. So it's like the world's best finger painting.
My gosh, he has tiny fingers.
I was thinking the same thing.
Uh, yeah, like Deadpool when he like got his arm blown off and he's got little baby hands.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
But that's amazing, and
It's
he
my
seems to
strong
have
hand.
an amazing grasp of across of a modern concept to a classic monster. Like on the cover, the one cover I saw with the vampire face and the gypsy woman on the front.
Right? Yeah.
That's very classic noir Nosferatu looking vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's such a cool design too, the Nosferatu style. I don't know why it's not utilized more. Like you get sparkly vampires and
Well,
pretty boys. Like
that-
give me a creepy looking creature any day.
It's the
Sure,
it's the romance behind the thing, man. That's the problem. It was the everybody's fantasy, kind of thing. That's where it went with the pretty boys and all that stuff where vampires went. I think you're right. I think the scarier, more like Fright Night. Remember Fright Night when that dude turned into the vampire and he was all fucked up looking? That's what I'm saying. That should be the vampires.
Well, it's. Have you ever seen an old TV show called Kindred?
Yes.
I haven't. No.
Okay, if you get a chance, George, find this old TV. It was only on for a couple seasons, but in the TV series Kindred, they did something pretty interesting. Because I really like monsters. I love the movie Monsters. I love the stories behind these creatures and everything else. But in that TV show, they did an amazing job of doing something for vampires. Is they broke vampires down into categories. The oldest vampires, they're extremely old vampires. The second oldest vampire is Nosferatu. Then it goes into the different categories. So you go from the ugly movie monster concepts of vampires into a modern persona of a vampire. So it really gives you a spectrum of like basically subspecies of the same species. And I always thought, well, that was a really cool way of introducing and explaining why there's so many different types of vampires, So you have like the Lost Boys type of vampires. You've got, Nosferatu type vampires. You've got, the Buffy style vampires. That's why all the vampires in Buffy, a lot of them, they'll start to look a little different because they're all different, species. I just like it gave artists a way of going, well, I just don't want to stick with this type of look. I want to go with this look. I always thought that was a really cool thing. But the show, I watched it again. It is a little campy when it comes to, well, I mean, it was it was old. It was like in the late 80s, early 90s. But it's still an interesting show for a storyline. It's about a cop and a vampire. It's just very weird. But
That's really interesting, man. I've actually been thinking a lot about like the lore for my book here. And so one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to take like those kind of classic Hollywood monsters and I wanted to plop them into like a fantasy world, like a Lord of the Rings style. So we've got goblins and orcs and dragons in our world, and then you've got these horror monsters. And I was thinking about like this is I'm working on this. I'm writing it right now. Is like the origin story for our vampires going to be connected to elves, right? Because vampires have like the pointy ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, we can. What if they're descendants from elves and that they've, like the elves typically drink water, but what about these elves that start feasting on blood and people? And
right, it's the whole story with the dark elves.
Yeah, so this is what we're looking at, taking our monster lore down, kind of tying it more into a fantasy world. We've done new takes on a lot of these characters too. Like our Frankenstein is a steampunk Atlantean Frankenstein, and so the story takes place in the city of Atlantis before it sinks, and he's resurrected by his wife, Dr. Mary Frankenstein, the most brilliant inventor in all of Atlantis. We also have Viking werewolves, and so I like taking kind of the classic monster characters and then rebooting them in a new kind of vein.
That's fucking cool, dude. I like the idea. I do like the idea of the mashups. That's really good.
It is.
Yeah, we're having a blast making this world. It's really We've got 6 issues completed right now. I've got it mapped out for 18. And so basically, we've got the first movie in the trilogy done. It's kind of
Nice.
how I sell it. But right now on Kickstarter, I've got my first issue. And one thing that's really cool about it is that each issue has a standalone monster origin story that's like a self-contained read. And that's half of the book. And then the other half of the book is the ongoing adventure of our family, and they're on a collision course with those monsters. So the first issue has a vampire story, and it's a great kickoff to the series. And another thing that's pretty fun about the Kickstarter is that we've been picked up by a publisher, and will be. They told me fourth quarter this year that will be in stores. So this is kind of like a pre-sale of having it in store. So it'll be kind of a collector's item sort of thing.
That's nice. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, honestly, I've self-funded this series. We've got 6 issues completed, and just kind of put it on my back. Like, me and my co-writer have self-funded it. I was really inspired by Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
very nice guy.
You know, the filmmaker that made movies on his own. He just put it on his credit card, $28,000, and he filmed at night at the convenience store where he worked at.
Yep.
And I was like, man, he just kind of made his dreams kind of happen. Maybe I should kind of get after mine and just try and make it happen too.
Hey, that's what you got to do, man. You got to keep pushing forward. Don't ever give up on what you want. You know, you can't. I tell this to everybody. I try to do the same thing, but it's hard. It's fucking hard, dude. It's hard to keep pushing and doing what we want. You think, like, we do this podcast, and it's not free. We don't make anything off of it, but we keep doing it because hopefully one day somebody will notice us and we'll blow up like a crazy man. You know what I mean? It's just what we do. It's all about pipe dreams and keeping them going. I mean, you have to have something to hold on to.
Yeah,
well, I've been
great, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been making monies for about 6 years now. I don't know why you're not getting a check. But...
Shut the fuck up. Oh, you dumbass.
But it's really neat. I don't mean to interrupt you, Wayne. I was just saying I really like what you said about the tying those creatures into the different lores and stuff. And when you said the Viking werewolves, that's a thing for me. I love a werewolf story, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing that and reading that one. That's going to be awesome. And it's cool because tying that into the Vikings with the werewolf line, basically I remember reading in mythology classes in college about tying it. There was actually the son of Beowulf ended up becoming a vampire. Or not a vampire, a werewolf.
Nice.
As a curse
Beowulf.
To the Beowulf line. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. But then everybody thinks, when you get into the Vikings and you have the wolves, and it's just such a cool thing, man. I really, really, really. And then the idea of Frankenstein as an Atlantean, that is just out of left field. No one would have come up with that. That is just awesome.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense, right? Because like they were ahead, technology-wise, over the rest of the world, and to be able to resurrect somebody, you'd think that you'd have to have some sort of different level of science and understanding of technology.
And it kind of gives him sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it also kind of gives him a reason, because you know how most Frankenstein monsters, their skin is a green tint. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like the oxygen.
Green or blue,
it's no oxygen. Well, it kind of gives you a reason there too.
Yeah. So one thing we did with our Frankenstein is the same restorative properties that brought him back to life bring the dead back to life when he kind of rages out and loses control, bites innocent bystanders, and then so he's kind of like a king of the zombies.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. But he's like sentient and aware, whereas they're just like mindless monsters.
That's great, man. I really fucking like all this ideas, man. I definitely will have to get a copy of this book.
I just don't want to read the book. I want to watch this on a cartoon or something. Right? This sounds amazing.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and getting back to what you guys were saying about like getting picked up and getting a bigger audience with the like I've been pushing this. Like I've only been making comics for a year and a half, and we got out on the road. I did 16 conventions last year and just hustled my ass off, sleeping in vans, like I said. And it just takes one person to
Yes.
like it. You know, like I had an editor at a publisher read it and like really like it, and then they've been like championing it up through the ranks, and so we are going to get into stores, and those those spots on the comic book store rack they're kind of hard to come by.
Yeah.
They are. They
Because
definitely are,
there's.
because it's a slow. It's a not slow. It's a small network. I mean, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of people, but to really get your place in those on those racks, I mean, it takes some doing, and you're definitely doing all the right things
I
for
mean,
sure.
you got to look at it like this for an indie book. Say each. This is just random numbers in my head. Say each store that you are in only gets like 10 of your books. You know what I'm saying? Like sits on the shelf. So if each store only gets 10 books, that means only 10 people will be grabbing your books. Whereas if it's through like Marvel, each freaking book they get is like 400. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it's definitely a smaller audience, but Spawn started out that way. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, that
Like
was Image. Yeah.
The Walking Dead was a indie book. You know, guys, it doesn't take much, and if it lights that fire, you never know, man. You'll be writing books till your hand falls off.
That's got to be the hard part of really. I mean, I guess I would assume. Things you're getting if you get picked up, everything. I'm sure it's happening. But does that set you? Do you think that's going to set like deadlines for like, okay, we need the next installment in like 6 months? Is that a thing, or how do you think that's going to work? Or try to educate me on that because I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, so for a publisher, I was told that if for a publisher to even look at you, you got to have like 3 books in the can.
Okay.
And so we've got 6 now, and we're going to be launching it as like 3 separate 6-issue miniseries.
Okay.
So we pretty much got the first miniseries done. So that kind of takes a lot of the risk out of the publisher, but hopefully it catches on, and then they'll be asking, hey, where's the second miniseries? But we're working on it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so good, dude.
yeah. We've kind of just put this whole project on, on our backs with our, paying our artist and then kind of going out to conventions and selling it that way.
Like a real
You're a
grassroots.
family guy too, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm a family guy. He's asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a little 7-year-old daughter, and I'm married. And yeah, I kind of wish I started a bit earlier in life, to be honest with you. 'Cause, yeah, I'm pushing 40 now, and I got a mortgage and stuff like that, and it's
Oh man.
you know, uh, it's hard getting out there and doing the conventions. I kind of I cut it down a bit this year. I'm going to do one a month instead of just the 16 was a bit too much time away from home, but one a month is kind of perfect for me. And
Well, it works.
yeah, but she loves it. Hey, my little girl, she just thinks I have like the coolest job in the world, and we're making a book together.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, she's writing and drawing it, and then I'll go in and do like the digital colors, and it's pretty fun. Her character's name is Splish Splash, and she has like the powers to control like water and lava, like anything
Nice.
liquidy.
My kid would love that, dude. Let me know when it's done.
I'm gonna bring her out to a convention and set her up with like a table so she can like sell her books, or set her up at my table so
Yeah.
she could sell her books, for $1 and stuff. And
Dude, that's
That would be
cool.
amazing.
That's so
yeah,
good. Yeah, my little boy's 4, and he loves going to cons too, man. Like his big thing though is like he likes to meet the people. Like he goes around and talks to everybody because he's one of those kids that just wants to talk to everybody. And like he comes on the podcast every once in a while and screams if you catch one of those episodes. Um, but recently we were at one of the cons and he got to meet Who did he meet last time? Well, he wasn't at the con. That's right, he wasn't at the con. But we got the band Guar to FaceTime him in full costume because we were at the convention sitting next to him, and they were like, "Yeah, dude, we'll do it, no problem." And they FaceTime my kid, and he was so freaking giddy because he likes that band, so it was funny. And they were like fussing at him. You better eat your vegetables, all in character with all these crazy get-ups on. It was the funniest thing ever.
Your kid sounds like he's got some good taste, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Look, This is no shit. Like, when my kid gets older, and like how we were embarrassed of our baby pictures, he's gonna be the kid that shows off all of his baby pictures because he's got pictures with Freddy Krueger. He's got pictures with Doyle from the Misfits and oh God, Peter Criss from Kiss. He's got all these pictures from when we met all these people, and like it's ridiculous. He's gonna be like, yeah, I know those people.
And so, but are you able to? I mean, you're working on this book with her, and I think that's awesome. Does her ideas influence you in any of your writing? Maybe I'm sure she's got her head full of amazing stories.
Oh, I bet.
I mean,
she's got a pretty good imagination on her, but no, we just do that kind of for fun and for her to be a part of it.
I think that's great.
Yeah, she does like dressing up though. We went to this like daddy-daughter dance that we have at my city here, and
nice.
So every year it's something different, and like one year it was Frozen and she's Elsa and I dressed up as Olaf.
Nice.
Last year was a superhero theme, and I'm like, yes, this is like my jam, And
Sure.
I'm like, this is gonna be great. And so I was like, all right, what do you want to do? Well, I'll be Batman, you can be Robin. Like, what do you want to do? And she's like, can we be Miraculous Ladybug and you can be Cat Noir? And it's like, oh man.
How'd that turn out?
And you're like, I guess.
She looked great, and I had one of the other dads at this dance ask me if I was Catwoman. I was like, no.
Oh, dude, that's great.
Yeah, no, dude.
Were you wearing the wet leather suit?
I was dressed up all in black with the pointy ears and the tail and everything.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's awesome. You know what that is? That's good. That's good dadding.
Yeah.
It's good parenting
Sure.
right there to be able to do that stuff. With the girl, and I mean, Wayne, you do it too with your son.
Of course. Anytime
cool.
my kid was like, "Hey, look, Dad, I want to be like this. Would you dress?" Yeah, fuck yeah, I will. Like I said, when he met Doyle for the Misfits, he was dressed up like him. He had no shirt on. He had the devil lock going down his face, and he had like a Misfits patch on his pants. It was great, and the kid they loved it, man. And same with Freddy Krueger. My wife made him a costume. He was like 1, and she made him a Freddy Krueger costume out of felt. So he had like the little felt claw and stuff, and it's great. The picture's incredible.
That's so fun, though, man.
But yeah, I mean, I love doing stuff like that with my kid. It's one of the best things you can do. And believe me, they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Sure. And so you are you live in Canada.
That's right. Yeah.
So is the cons different? Have you found anything different in Canada than U.S. type of conventions? Or, I mean, are they about the same? I mean, is there a different feel? Have you noticed anything different in that way? Like people are the same yet different in different regions. So I was just curious if there was a regional difference.
No, like not necessarily country to country, but more like city to city,
Okay.
I did a convention at in Salt Lake City, and I thought I knew maybe it might be a bit of a risk with my monster book and kind of more conservative people there, but
sure.
They were so polite in telling me that they didn't want to buy my book. I've never been rejected like in such a positive manner. It's like,
this is so.
Just think it's for me, but good for you, and
good luck on that.
You.
Yeah.
Really nice people.
In the South, like if you go to Georgia, it's always, "Oh, bless your heart." That's what they say in Georgia a lot of time.
That usually means you're a jerk. Leave me alone. But it's just a nice way to say it. Oh, bless your heart.
That's it. Bless your heart. Look at that. That's something. Look at that. Look at the words there. No, I don't know. Maybe Christmas is coming. They do that stuff a lot. So it's kind of funny.
I have a pretty assertive style when I'm at the convention. Like, I stand on my feet the whole time, and whenever anyone's walking by, I'll be like, "Hey, do you like monsters?" And that's kind of a trick question, just to get them to stop and be like, "What?" Yeah. It's like, "All right, let me show you some cool monsters," and I start showing them my book.
That's awesome. Does it scare anybody when you do that, though?
I get some looks like, "What are you talking about, dude?"
Was that the exact line that Dan Aykroyd used in what was it, the Twilight Zone movie? Do you remember when he was in the very beginning of the Twilight Zone movie? He was in the car with, I forget who the other person was in the car, and they would go, "Do you want to see something scary?" That's what it was. "You want to see something scary?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So he turns off the lights in the car as they're driving, and that guy gets kind of freaked out. He goes, and then Dan Aykroyd goes, "Well, you want to see something really scary?" He goes, "Yeah." So they pull the car over, and he bends his head down, and when he turns back, he's a fucking monster and kills the guy.
I forgot all about that, man.
Yeah, that was the very opening of the movie, Twilight Zone movie.
Wow, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah. See,
now I got to see it now.
It's a monster movie, man. It's good. This is bringing it in on me, man. It's George's fault.
When I was at the table next to Tim there in New Orleans, he was like flipping it on me, and he's like, some pretty girl will be walking by, and he's like, "Hey, George wants to show you his monster." And I was like, "Dude."
That sounds like Tim.
Yeah, Tim, all the way, man, all the way.
Hey.
Which side of Tim were you on, man? Because I was there. I just don't remember everything.
No, it's just on the right there. Yeah.
So you were on the corner.
Were you guys the guys drinking all the time?
No, I was the dude with the little boy. That was that kept crawling underneath Tim's table.
Yeah, no, I remember you.
Yeah. It was my son trying to go aggravate Tim.
No, if there was drinking, that'd have been me.
Yeah, that'd have been him, not me. Yeah. So speaking of drinking, okay, here it is. It's time to take a commercial break right now. We're going to take a break right now, guys. Here's our commercial for PM Star Productions, where you can get any kind of merch needs. If you want stickers, posters, skateboards, anything you need that you want your logo on.
Drinking at things too, like cups and stuff.
Yes, exactly. So anything you need printed, anything you want, go check them out. PM Star Productions. Here you go.
Are you looking to get custom merch for your band? PM Star Promotions is producing all types of promotional items such as shirts, hats, stickers, banners, koozies, skate decks, and much, much more. All products are imprinted in the USA and made to last while keeping your cost as low as possible. Need a shirt design or logo made? The PM Star team has over 20 years experience in graphic design to make your ideas come to life. PM Star Promotions is making their way by working alongside with national bands and record labels including Crowbar, Goat Whore, and Ripple Music. To get customized, dependable work or check out the package deals that fit your budget and other exciting offers, please check out our featured collection on Facebook, PM Star Promotions, or visit www.pmstarpromo.com. It's time to get noticed.
And there you go. For all your merchandise needs, the boys at PM Star Productions, go ahead and check it out. Do what you got to do. Get you some stuff printed. Get you some skateboards. Whatever you want with your name on it, they can do it. And now we're back with the Monster Man himself, Mr. George. I fucked up his last name again.
Mikhail.
I just forgot it. I knew it was Mikhail, but I just forgot his last name.
I know, you were just testing us. I know what you're doing.
That's what I was doing. That's what I'm doing. What's up, George? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Hey, so, all right, I got a question. So we have this gigantic crap going on right now with the coronavirus. How's it going out there in Canada? Are y'all, getting scared with it or shit?
We're running out of toilet paper at the Costco. It's kind of pissing me off, to be honest with you. I was all scheduled to do Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that coming up.
Yeah, they canceled it, so because of virus and stuff.
Yeah, we had all, like, as of today, all of our activities this week are canceled. Like, there are no, we had, what is it, St. Patrick's Day parades and a bunch of big events like concerts and stuff, and they've all been canceled.
Yeah, it's such a bummer. I don't understand it. Like my understanding is that like the flu takes out more people. So why
Well,
is coronavirus such a big deal?
okay, here's the deal. This is what I am thinking behind it. Okay, yes, the flu does kill more people. It has killed more people, but we've never experienced this in the capacity that it's coming.
In
It's
human population.
yeah, it's been in animals. I'm a vet tech, so it's been in animals for years. We've come up with a vaccine for it, and it's fine. You know, the animals don't carry it, but this version of the coronavirus is highly contagious. It's more contagious than the flu. Because, like, the flu is
Now,
contagious, but this is like if I had a cough on my hand and I put it on your shoulder, you fucked. You know what I'm saying? You got it. So it's kind of
well, here's
that's
my
what people
question,
are
Wayne.
freaking out about.
I don't understand the idea here. I mean, there is the whole point of this, screwing everything up, all these big conventions and
Yeah.
stuff, and all these mass events and stuff. But if I know for a fact there's a lot of human medications, like I can give my dog Benadryl. I can give them Claritin. I can give them lots of things. I know that they get when they're pups and when they go to their vet for the first time. These dogs, cats, whatever, are all inoculated
Yes.
for this in one kind of a group shot. It kind of covers a couple different things.
Right.
Why can't we dose that up for humans?
Because it's not made for people. Like it's not the same like coronavirus.
But we should have a base to start with.
We do.
I would think.
I believe we do, and I believe that's what they're working on it now. They're working on the vaccine now, but it's probably going to take several months, and then you got the fucking the guinea pigs have to deal with it after that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
they have to
Yeah,
they
sign
have to
me
test
up. I'll
it.
be a guinea pig. That's cool.
You know, and
As long as you're paying me.
so that's basically what you're looking at is like we're looking at least 6 months to a year before we have a vaccine on the market.
Well, here's where I'm kind of effed up, you guys. I get a call today, and then I turn on. I'm looking at my local news. They've put North Carolina in lockdown.
Wow, really?
I'm not in North Carolina, and that's where I live, by the way, George. I usually live in North Carolina, but right now I'm in Pennsylvania. So, if they put everybody down in lockdown, I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with certain things because I've got stuff to do when I get back. And they're telling people, stay. If you do not have to go for a major medical emergency in North Carolina, don't go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Don't go to visit people in the hospital. Don't go. Don't go sit in doctors' waiting rooms if you don't have to be there. All this other. I'm like, well, I got shit to do when I get back there. It's just a messed up sort of time. I'm trying to. I'll have to figure it out before we leave. But I've got to the end of the month. But
there's going to be a lot of stuff you're not going to be able to do, dude.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that earlier with you doing all these conventions, man. I said it's really got to be messing some things up, or at least going to start to trickle through.
It's going to start
through all these conventions for sure.
Yeah, I hope too many more don't get canceled.
Well, after Emerald City, you've got the Walking Dead thing, or is there another one right after that? Not too far in May, I think, isn't it?
In 2 weeks here, I'm doing Days of the Dead in Las Vegas.
Okay,
wow,
Days of the Dead.
dude, that's badass.
Yeah, it should be fun because I don't even have to ask them, hey, do you like monsters? 'Cause they're at the horror convention.
You should.
What's your catch line then going to be? You're going to be, hey, do you like living people?
I don't know. Actually, I did a Las Vegas convention last year, Amazing Con, and my carnival barker tactics did not work at all on those people.
Yeah.
I think they're like just so kind of hardened and jaded from like all the timeshare people in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. They're just like, get out of here, guy.
Dude, you should try the Texas Frightmare weekend.
That would be great for you, man.
I think you would really fit in there very well, especially with the
Huge
style
convention.
of comic and horror stuff. The Texas Frightmare is probably the premier, horror convention down this way.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'd love to.
It's
come out.
awesome. We're
Absolutely massive convention.
it's amazing. Like I've been 3 or 4 times, and trying to go again this year, depending on the coronavirus attack. But yeah, it's great. It happens usually in May. So, dude,
It's Wizard World, but all horror.
yeah,
Yeah, man, I'll check it out for sure.
like
Yeah, I don't know about all this coronavirus stuff. I just know I'm fighting with Airbnb trying to get my hotel fund back.
Oh, Airbnb, you bastards!
stupid.
Now, if you would have booked with Travasity, you know.
Yeah, huh? By the way, this show is not brought to you by that. But
Or
if
maybe
you,
kayak.
but if you guys, any of you guys we mentioned on this show, want to, throw us some money for advertisement, please feel free.
Hey, MHOG, the next, we could be the next William Shatner of pushing weird products.
Hi.
Cool.
No, I can't do it.
Don't do William. You just sound like somebody with some weird disease.
No, it almost sounded like what's his name? The one that you always make fun of, Harry Carey.
Harry Carey.
Yeah. Hi. Oh.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. No.
Hey, hot dog.
I can't do William Shatner.
But this is really, I mean, with all the bad aside and everything, this is really, really amazing work you guys are doing. The stories, like I said, I haven't been able to read the book, but you talking about it, the characters, the monster characters alone. But I think maybe even some more so the character, the human characters, the separated family, the mother, the two boys. I mean, they turn into monsters too. They turn into animals.
Yeah. So that's pretty fun because you get like all sorts of animal monster mix-ups, and then you've got like I tried to play around with it and have some fun. Like so, in one scene, one of the boys gets like injured, and so he turns into an octopus because octopus can like regrow their like tentacles and things like this.
Yeah.
So to try and heal himself, or then another one he gets burnt, so he turns into a snake to like shed his skin and grow new skin. So kind of get creative and use that in some fun ways. And
so without giving anything away, is there some when reading the books, are there some bigger backstory to these characters, why they're like that? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why they're like that. There's one of our girls. So it's a mom and her 2 daughters, and then she has 2 nephews. Are kind of the main characters of the book. And one of the girls is able to. Her blood allows vampires to walk in daylight. And there's
okay.
And that too. It's not all random stuff, but we're building kind of a huge kind of fantasy world, and it takes place in kind of medieval times, and we've got all sorts of different locations like Transylvania. We have an Amazon island. We have Meteora, which is where the oracles live, kind of like a
like the oracles of Delphi type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm Greek Canadian, and so
okay.
I spent a lot of time in Greece, and so I was inspired by that a bit too, to have some of those locations show up. Like the Meteora is, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it, but it's like these huge rock formations that are like really skinny mountains just jutting from the ground, and they have monasteries at the top of them. And in ancient times, it was like Greek temples, and you just wonder, well, how did they ever, get the supplies up there to make those? And they have like little ropes and you can take like sit in a basket and like go over to the rock formation. And so that I use that location for our oracles, and Atlantis, like I said earlier, is the location of our Frankenstein story, and just kind of all over medieval. And then our Viking story actually takes place in Greenland.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Vikings have come over to the New World, kind of pre-Christopher Columbus, and they've encountered the Native Americans, and then they've come back as werewolves, and then they're called back to Europe.
That's fucking cool.
Interesting.
That's so good,
I like
dude.
that a lot.
I'm excited. I don't get excited much over many stories and stuff, but yours has the right amount of like cool shit that I want to read.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the idea. It was
to...
just like, this is stuff that I love, and Universal's with their dark universe has kind of dropped the ball on building that shared universe. And
I was about to say, have failed miserably. Yes.
And I still love the dark universe, though. I know a lot of people weren't into it, but I really think the dark the Universal Dark universe was.
I love the
amazing.
idea. I love the idea.
I actually liked the new Mummy. I liked that story.
I haven't seen the new Mummy.
Oh, you've got to see that, because it's and what's even cooler is it introduces another monster towards the end of it, which is very cool. And you're like, holy shit, this could really happen, because it had that feel of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
And I really love that movie. I thought that movie was very underrated for what it was. But I'm a huge Universal Monster fan too, and it could be, that I'm just trying to latch on to something that's not there. I'm like, I want this to work. I want this to happen. But every time they put something out, it turns out to be this huge pile of dog shit. And
well, maybe they need to do this. And I thought this after I liked it, but I was getting so much hate over liking it. What are your thoughts, George? I mean, maybe they should go into something like, all right, well, the dark universe kind of didn't work to a point, but what if they actually made? I mean, technically, it's still kind of going. I mean, they got the Invisible Man coming out. That's kind of very dark universe-ish.
Well, it's part of it. It's part of it. So hopefully it works.
But what if they were to actually go and say, hey, we're going to redo classic style. We're gonna make it classic, like the classic Wolfman, not but do it classic. The Wolfman was, in its time, it was like, oh my gosh, it's the Wolfman. Today, won't have that type of impact. I don't think, at least on adults, but kids it may. But still,
I think they should go the other way with it. They should. Okay. You know how they're kind of trying to do individual movies and then lead up to like a big team up?
Yeah.
I think they should start with the team up, because they've tried a few times already with, Dracula Untold and The Mummy, and it's not really catching on. Throw them all together at once, and let's kick this thing off like just batshit crazy right off the get-go.
I agree. So, and then that's where your Wolfman Got Nards comes back into play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a fun way to do it. Is just like, let's just get crazy right off the bat, and not ease our way into it, because I think that what they're seeing as far as like their box office is that the audience isn't there on the huge scale for those individual movies right now. So let's make something like just totally crazy, and like you have to see this.
So you want to start with Infinity War.
Yeah.
And then work back.
See, I agree with you, because this is what I think too.
I can see that.
I think that they're trying to do what Iron Man did for Marvel, is they're trying to make but what they're doing is they're throwing out too many characters at one time. If you want to do something like that, either you do, as you said, you make your one Iron Man movie, then you throw a second one out there, then you do the team up with like the Avengers, because once that Avenger movie came out, everybody was like, holy shit, that's so much possibility. You know what I mean? And then they built up on the entire universe. And now they should do that with this. If you do you do a Dracula film, and then you do a second one of the same Dracula film, then you go into doing your team up with monsters. Like, because at the end of the first Dracula movie, say he discovers a new monster, which could be Frankenstein, or it could be the creature, or it could be whatever one. And then the same with the second one, and then the third one is an add-on to the team up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do the whole team up with all the monsters that he's just discovered.
I think they really need to commit to it. Like, give us like
Really
two
commit
movies
to
a
it.
year. Don't give us like one movie every like 3-4 years. Give us like 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Go hard, man.
I really liked the Dracula, the Untold Story. I thought that was a really good adaptation for that.
Didn't see that either, man.
To me, I like. Well, you know me, I like the vampires.
Yeah.
The lore and everything, but I really liked that. But what I wanted to know where it went after that. Like right now, I wanted to know. You know, what did I tell you? That new Dracula TV show that was out that I told you to watch.
Yeah. You said it was pretty good.
Man, that's the way it should have went. That's what they. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that one, but it is
Netflix, right? I haven't seen that one yet.
it is actually pretty intense,
Look.
and it's very, very. I like the. It's got enough scare to be creepy, but it also right at that point where you think, oh, and then all of a sudden somebody drops like a little bit of a twisted one-liner, just enough to give it just a little bit of humor. You're like, oh, that's kind of dark humor, but it's really funny, you know. But I liked how they went with that, and I'm anxious to see a second season of it because it looks really, really good.
I like that. I like a little bit of cheese in my.
Me too.
You got to have. You got to.
Yeah, just a little funny one-liner. You know, I like to be able to root for the villain too, and you know, it's kind of hard to root for the bad guy when they're just like, you know, quiet, unstoppable killing force. You know, like a Jason or a Michael. But
sure.
But you give me like a Freddy Krueger who's just kind of delighting in it.
Right. Yeah. Freddy Krueger was like, come on, man. Freddy Krueger was probably one of the best horror villains of all time because of his dialogue. And
his dialogue and the fact that he was rooted he was like a real person.
Right.
You know
and who he played. And you know, the sad thing is like we're all rooting for a fucking child molester and a murderer.
Yeah, that's what made it creepier, was because you're rooting for that guy, and then you realize later, I was like, oh, I can't believe I was actually rooting for that guy. But I mean, to a point, you root for him most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean.
You're like, kill Freddy, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot in the in the horror movie that they don't do a lot of that type of horror anymore. Now you have things like, as I mentioned earlier, the Invisible Man with what's his name, who was in what is that dude's name that was in Galaxy? What is it?
Galaxy Quest?
With the raccoon. Yeah.
No.
With the raccoon.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of the guys from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay,
the Invisible Man.
There's a bunch of guys in Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, the big dude, the one of the actual Guardians. The big Russian-looking dude. He's like an MMA fighter.
Batista?
Yeah.
Dave Batista? He's not in it, man.
I thought he was in it.
No, I'm actually going to see it tonight.
Oh, I thought he was the guy who played the Invisible Man.
All right, look, George. This is what I want from you. Okay. All right, you ready for this?
All right.
All right, you're gonna go watch it tonight, right?
Yes.
All right, so you have to promise me in a week you come back on our show and tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll break it down.
Even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Yeah, even if we're just like come on and hang out just for a little bit and talk about it, you know, whatever. I want you to come on and tell us, because I've gotten reviews from it already saying that it was like, was it like not Single White Female? It was like some Julia Roberts movie that's basically what it was, except with the Invisible Man. Like, and I was like,
it looks creepy. I can tell you that.
Right. But I heard it was. I got a lot of bad reviews. So
I heard it was actually pretty good. So I'm anxious to see the difference.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to know. Like I want him to come on and like let's get this going. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I'll break it down for you for sure.
Awesome. And you can come on and plug some more.
Yeah.
Tell us all the new conventions
Covered
going on.
Covered in Darkness.
It's got monsters. You like monsters?
You
got all your monsters here.
You like monsters? He's got monsters for you. Come on. Come get some monster. You want a monster book? He's got your monster book. Come on. Yeah, Georgie. You know you like that. That's another one that was kind of like one of those the villains that you kind of rooted on was Pennywise, and so was Chucky, because they were smart asses.
Yeah,
they were, but I never really liked Chucky.
I love Chucky, dude.
I hated that Chuck. Well, I'm not a big fan of dolls, and you are. You're weirdo.
Yeah, well, the only doll you like is blown up. So.
Well, hey, but here's the thing: they stay, and they're true.
Favorite horror movie? Name it.
Scream.
Oh wow, that's a good one. Never thought that. Okay, Rum.
Too many to count. I don't even know where to start.
Just pick one. Just pick one out of. I have two that are like my borderline favorites.
Oh, Bigfoot.
Oh wow, that's cool. The two that are my all time favorites would have to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hellraiser. Hellraiser is my all time favorite. I think.
God, Hellraiser. Yeah, I mean, come on.
That's by far like. I remember watching that as a kid, and just being like completely like blown away. You know, I mean, when did the first fucking Hellraiser come out? Like 80 something?
1982, 83, something like that.
Yeah, so I was like 7.
Wow. And that'd be cool, man. You got to see it in theaters?
No, I was too little, man. My mom wouldn't take me to see that. I saw it at home.
But I got to see it later on.
I did see Hellraiser 3. What?
You know
no,
what
or 4. Hellraiser 4. That's what I saw in Bloodline.
My favorite horror series was the Howling series.
Howling was good. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I loved all the Howling movies.
What was the first horror movie you ever seen?
Mine was Monster Squad. Was 5.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, but for me, Scream is. I just love how they kind of lay out the rules, and it follows the group of kids. And it came out when I was in high school, and all the kids in it are in high school, and I had a crush on Nev Campbell.
Yeah, I mean everybody did back then, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was just kind of the perfect horror movie for that time. It really brought the slasher back.
It did.
Sure.
It really did.
Right after that was I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was another one that fell into that type of genre of those type of horror films.
Well, at that point, they started beating it into the ground like a dead horse,
But that's what you got to do. It's horror. That's what you do.
And then
you beat it till it's dead.
I think, and you know what? Also, I really dug too is when everybody hates on him, but when Rob Zombie came out with the Firefly family, the Captain Spaulding, and I think he really brought back the old school, like, grimy grindhouse villain movies. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a grittiness to those ones for sure.
Right. And I really love those films. Like, I didn't watch the new one because everyone was telling me it was terrible. So it's now on Shudder. So I'm gonna watch it this week so I can finally see the last film. But I mean, Devil's Rejects was a damn near perfect movie for me, just because I thought it was really good and just horrible.
It's too scary for me, Wayne.
I know it is.
I don't like it.
I know you need to be held.
I do. I need
that Crawl movie that came out last year?
I haven't seen that. I've heard good things.
I liked it a lot. With the crocodiles and
yeah.
And they're stuck
very
into the
terrifying.
It's like just a great monster, creature flick, and it knows exactly what it is, and it's 88 minutes long. It doesn't like overstay its welcome, and it's just, kind of crazy alligator action, nonstop, and the tension's like really high. So I really enjoyed that. Sure.
Kind of like Lake Placid.
Like, the sci-fi movies, like I saw Swamp Gator, Swamp Gator 2, Two-Headed Gator.
What was the one that was like spider python, or I don't know. It was like arachna snake. I don't know. It was weird. It was like a snake with a fucking.
When movies come out, we make a night of it.
We have to.
Like you watch it for the cheese. You gotta watch it for the cheese.
Yeah.
So.
My wife just hates these movies. Hey, like she just has no patience for them.
My wife too.
I have to either watch them by myself, after she goes to bed, or it has to be really good, or else I'm apologizing the whole drive home from the theater.
Yeah, my wife won't. My wife won't actually go to the theater with me. She's like, no, I don't watch movies at home. I mean, in the theater. You can go watch it by yourself. I was like, okay.
See, I watch a lot of the movies when they come out at home. That way, I know she can watch it with me, even though she doesn't want to, because I just say, "Hey, we're gonna watch this crazy movie." She's like, "Ah," and I'm like, "It's okay though because I bought you champagne," and she's like, "Ooh," so it's
Yeah,
better.
trick them.
Yeah, trick them. That's it. Just like Valentine's Day, you just trick them.
That's how you got married.
That's it. That and the ketamine.
Yeah, right. There we go. Back to the ketamine story.
I horror movies in the theater, especially though, because I think to experience like a horror movie kind of the way it was intended is it needs to have your undivided attention.
It
Yeah.
does.
I find at home, you got the kid coming out from the room saying, "Oh, I can't sleep," and the dog's walking across the room, and then you get a text from somebody, or you recognize that actor in the movie, and you're like, "Oh, who is that? I'm gonna look him up in IMDb. I recognize him," and all of a sudden, it's like you're just totally out of it, and the
Yeah.
tension is gone. So I do like seeing the horror movies in the theater, but it's hard to drag my wife out. So I'm
All right.
actually going.
Yeah.
All right, so we've come to the conclusion that Scream actually brought back the slasher flick, correct? Everybody's in agreement with that, right? And then we have, to me personally, then you have Rob Zombie bringing back the grimy with his films.
Sure.
But then you also have like the intensity of like the first Saw. Like that movie really broke boundaries for horror movies. Like, people don't understand, like, oh, it's this, that. Yeah, I know it's 8 fucking films later, but that first movie blew people's minds. It was so good and just so well written and so well done. And that movie opened gates for other films.
Sure.
Is there any other films that you guys can think of offhand that really just opened up something for the horror genre?
I don't know, but like I said, I want to see his comic book turned into one because I want to watch it.
I really do think his comic would turn out to be an incredible either series or movie, or series of films.
Yeah. So you've got what's his name? Key and Peele. What's his name? Kevin.
Yeah, Key and Peele. Yeah. I can't remember their names either.
It's either Key or Peele. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, they did like Us and Get Out, right? And kind of bringing, kind of a new kind of voice to horror. And then he's got his remake of Candyman that he's producing. Candyman's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and
I do like Candyman.
I'll put it this way: I really hope it's not a big pile of garbage. Because I love the first Candyman movie. And
I hope they don't make it too political.
It's going to be. It's Key and Peele guy. It's going to be fucking, it's either going to be super, super anti-racism or it's going to be very political. And
I don't want political in my movies that type of way. I want to watch it for the movie and the story. I don't want to have to think about freaking everything else I could read in the news.
And I hate it. I hate the fact that I have to think that it's going to end up this way. I really hope it doesn't because it would be very surprising. But
sometimes some of the best horror movies have like a political message in them, like Night of the Living Dead. George.
Oh
Romero.
Yeah.
So there's a way of doing it where it's not
so in your face,
hammered down your throat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's nothing out there nowadays that isn't like down your throat. It's all in your face all the time. At least I just, when I want to be entertained, I want to be entertained. Entertain me. Don't teach me.
Yeah, and I don't I don't know how you guys in Canada see us in the United States. I know our friends in.
Well, he's not in Zimbabwe. Dude.
No, but what I'm saying is because each country has their own view of us, dude. It's true. And because look at Mart, he's always saying, yeah, our news is always saying that you guys are Bible thumping gun hunters that hate everybody. And I'm like,
just Louisiana.
No, he means the entire United States. He knows better than me. God. But it's just,
we love you guys.
But it's just different, like each country thinks different things. And, so I don't know when the political boundaries get pushed so much in film, like I don't know what you guys think. Like I don't know how you guys perceive these things. Like we perceive them as a pain in the ass and aggravation, because it's like, okay, we get your point. It's there.
Well,
Okay, we understand.
apparently some of us love it. But, it's just not me for is being one of them. I mean,
when
sometimes you just want to escape and you don't want to have that kind of political commentary shoved down your throat.
Right.
Trying to.
I want to enjoy their creative world.
Right.
I don't want to think about my actual one.
Yeah, I'm going to see Star Wars, guys. I don't need a fucking like gigantic opus to whatever political bullshit you're trying to push on me today.
I don't want anybody to tell me to make Star Wars great again. I don't want any of that shit.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying though. Like, there's a way to do it though. Like for example, you got that Black Widow movie coming out. Hey, I'm pretty psyched for it.
Yeah, I am too.
Cool, lady superhero that can kick ass, and
sure.
I'm all about it. But then you had that scene in Infinity War where it's like all the girls like team up at 1 second.
Yeah.
You remember that scene?
Yeah.
Where it's like at the big final battle, and it's like they all team up.
Girl power.
I kind of groaned at it a little bit. It was just like,
I wouldn't groan about that.
Here's our. I don't know. It seemed a little forced.
I agree.
It did seem forced.
Like,
but I mean,
give me a scene where
the
girls are individually kicking ass. I'm down with it. But you give this like kind of raw girl power moment. I was kind of like, it kind of took me out of it too, because it didn't seem like it was likely that would happen in the scene.
Right.
And it did. You're right. It did seem forced. It did seem very contrived. Because at that moment they all kind of looked at each other like, it was like they were acknowledging we need to do this because we're girls, that sort of thing. I get you. I saw that. Yeah. But,
one of the remakes that came out recently was the Charlie Angels movie, and one of the girls, I forget who it was, that played one of the angels, stated the fact that we all hate women because their film did so bad because no one wants to see a movie with a woman in power. And I'm like,
that's not true.
I'm like, bullshit. Look at all these films that were out there that did so well. I guarantee you fucking Black Widow will blow up. Like, it's going to be huge.
Right. Yeah. And I think because, I don't know, I mean, you had the Charlie's Angels reboots about 15 years ago now, with Cameron Diaz and all them. They did fine, but they were kind of they weren't overly serious movies. They were entertaining, but they weren't overly serious, because it took the Charlie's Angels TV show, which was really the women in power, really girls in power, whatever you want to call it. And they weren't trying to be campy. They were just telling the story. They were female actors telling the story. It could have been characters written for men, but there was women playing them. You know what I mean? But then they made that reboot, and it was like, okay, we're really super powerful, but we're gonna be funny and weird, and we're gonna dance funny, and it's gonna be cute, and blah blah blah. It was 23 dresses or 27 dresses, and it was also Charlie's Angels. Where this one, I think, wanted to be super intense, but it was like, Charlie's Angels again. It's gonna be weird and funny. I don't want to watch that. I think that's where they lost it, because the actors in it were good. They're very good. But I just also, you have to look at what it was coming up against at the time too.
For me, it was reviews. Like, I go to the movies pretty often, and it was it just didn't get great reviews, so I skipped it. If the reviews would have said, yeah, it's awesome, I would have went. I think another thing for Hollywood, for as long as we're like putting on our thinking hats and telling people how it should be, is if you're gonna have like an action movie with the female stars, it's nice to have like men in some capacity other than just the villain. I think one thing that was really good was how Wonder Woman had Chris Pine in it, and he was like a likable actual character. He wasn't the lead, but he was part of it, and I really like that dynamic between the hero, Wonder Woman, and her love interest.
Yeah, I think that was great. Well done.
Yeah, and I think that's something to consider when you're making a movie that has a female protagonist, is to also have men in it that just aren't maniacal kind of villains.
Right.
Yeah.
Way to go, George. You just made it political.
You did. See, thanks. All right. That's fucked up, dude. Way to go, bro. There you go.
And it also helps if you have them like riding lightning bolts, like the new Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lightning bolts.
That looks dope.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about lightning bolts riding it, but whatever. Anyway, so George, tell all these fine people out here, now that we rattled on about all kind of things, where they can get your book, where they can go and help out with the Kickstarter, all that stuff. Give all these people your URLs and all your fancy things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Kickstarter. You just go to kickstarter.com and you type in Cover of Darkness, and my book will pop up there. You can. We have all sorts of different levels. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Kickstarter, it's like a crowdfunding platform where you go on there and you can buy stuff, and you get a reward for backing the project. So the money used from this will go to fund the print run. And so $5 you get a digital copy, $10 you get a physical copy of the book. We got posters, T-shirts, original artwork from Scott McDaniel, who worked on like Nightwing and Batman. And there's lots of different reward levels. But if you just want to get a copy of it like on your tablet, it's $5. I think we've made a cool monster book here, and we've had some interest from publisher and it will be in stores eventually. So this will be kind of a nice collector's item before we kick off. So yeah, Cover of Darkness on Kickstarter, and if you want to give me a follow on Instagram, it's Comic Book George, comic_book_George. So yeah, hit me up there and follow along on my adventures, sleeping in my van and going to conventions.
Well, George, dude, it was fantastic to get to talk to you, dude.
Very nice.
You definitely have to come back on the show. Like I said, we're going to talk more about this Invisible Man shit coming up soon. But, yeah, man, thank you for coming on. And I hope this helps you out and get you over that numbers to get your Kickstarter going.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
Oh, thanks for coming. It was great.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, remember this. I am your host, Wayne.
I'm the Rum Guy.
And remember always to keep it metal! Yeah.
Adieu, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Get the fuck out!
Okay then. That's it.